And for a special perspective, I'm pleased to welcome Ehud Olmert. He was Israel's prime minister from 2006 to 2009 and mayor of Jerusalem for 10 years until 2003. Mr. Olmert, welcome to DW. In a recent interview, you claimed that the Hamas command center was not, in fact, under the Al-Shifa hospital, but in Khan Yunis in southern Gaza. I want to quote you there. You said that is where they have the leadership, they're hiding, they have the bunkers, they have the command positions, they have the launching pads. What is your evidence for that?
We'll show you the evidence. I hope that the Israeli army will reach out there and will provide you the evidence. Now you could see that underneath the Shifa hospital, there were bunkers, there were weapons, and they were taking the hostages into Shifa. And we have evidence that some of the hostages which came alive to Shifa were killed there. So you don't really expect that we will provide you with videos of the bunkers underneath Khan Yunis. But we have the evidence and we have the data that I think make it quite reliable, and hopefully within days we'll reach out there and you all will be able to see.
Why then the focus on the Al-Shifa hospital if Khan Yunis is really the bigger military target?
Not the only. From Shifa hospital, they were launching missiles to Israel. They were using the Shifa hospital as a hiding place for many of the killers and the terrorists. And they used the underground for the hiding weapons. And the terrorists, the leaders ran away. When we came close to Shifa, they escaped for obvious reasons. But that doesn't make Shifa into a legitimate place. It's definitely more than just a hospital. By the way, it was built by Israelis. It was designed by Israeli architects, but the bunkers were built by Hamas.
So from what I gather, we are bound to see Israeli troops expand their operations to the south. That is precisely where Gazans from the north were told to seek safety. Where are the people who live there in the south, plus the over 1 million displaced, now supposed to go, that even Khan Yunis and the area surrounding it is not safe anymore?
Look, I don't think that I need to, and I don't know, to be honest with you. I'm not in the government now. I'm not in the general staff of the Israeli army, and I can't share with you the specific military plans for the expanded Israeli operation. We'll do everything as we tried to do in the north of Gaza to avoid any unnecessary collateral damage. And that's why it takes time. We try to be as careful as we can. And we hope to be able to reach out the centers of where the terrorist leaders are hiding without affecting the civilians that move south. It's not a game. It's a very difficult and complex and painful and bloody. And we try to avoid the unnecessary consequences to non-involved civilians. But you must understand one thing, and I tell you on the basis of lifelong experience and very good connections with all of the Arab countries that surrounding the state of Israel to this day. There is nothing that they want more of Israel than to destroy Hamas. Hamas is obviously the enemy of Israel, but it's the enemy of all the moderate Arab countries. They are scared that if Hamas will prevail, the stability in those countries may be jeopardized in a very serious way. And they are anxious that Israel will continue what we are doing now, which is to destroy an ISIS, which is part of the area here, which threatens the stability of the entire region.
Yeah.
And this is the only
might not only
avenue.
be in Israel's interest to destroy Hamas. I understand that, but there has been widespread condemnation of the blockade of Gaza that came as a result, or that intensified as a result of the October 7th attack, the humanitarian crisis, and the number of civilians killed in this war. We're seeing this week, again, thousands of protesters in cities around the world almost every day demanding a ceasefire. So I want to know from you, is Israel at risk of losing international support over how it is conducting this war, as someone who is not directly involved?
Unfortunately, you are correct in describing the reaction in different parts of the world against the state of Israel. On the 7th of October, they all demonstrated in favor of Israel. And in the meantime, as it turns out, and since life is not a linear line, they focus now on the pictures coming from Gaza, and they forgot the Israelis that were beheaded and tortured and raped and slaughtered only 45 days ago. Now, I think that there is certainly a danger, I can't ignore it, that the international public opinion will not be patient enough and tolerant enough to understand that we have to live with the consequences of having Hamas here, and that it has come to a point where we just can't continue as it was. We have to get rid of them. However, I think that what the Israeli government has to do, and this is not something, I don't speak for the government, as you understand. I don't represent the government. The government is probably on an entirely different direction, but I speak for what I think most Israelis want. We need to do the following things. Number one, we have to declare that at the end of the battle, the military battle, we will pull out from Gaza. We don't want to occupy Gaza. It's not in our interest. We don't want to be there. We want to destroy the Hamas and move back to the international border. That's number one. Number two, I think that it is important, it's essential that an intervention military force, European international military force, will take over Gaza when Israel pulls out. No Arab, no Palestinian will ever take over from Israel. So if we don't want terror to immediately return back into Gaza, we have for a period of a year and a half, to have an international intervention force, just as we did in the south of Lebanon after the war in Lebanon in 2006, which was very helpful and which created a quiet area for 17 years.
Yeah. Under the current leadership, sorry to interrupt you there, under the current leadership, do you think what you're laying out is an attainable goal?
This is something that needs to be achieved, needs to be accepted by President Biden and the European leaders, Rishi Sunak and President Macron and Chancellor Scholz and all the rest of the European leaders. And I think that there is a good chance that they will understand that there must be an international force, because if Israel is not to stay there, and we don't want to stay there, and the international community doesn't want Israel to stay there, and if Palestinians or Arabs will not come over, so what then? So number one, as I said, I think there should be an international force for interim period of a year and a half, that will help create or restore a civil administration that now will disappear because of the eradication of Hamas. But at the same time, and this is perhaps the most critical and important thing, the Israeli government has to declare today and make a public commitment that at the end of the military battle, we will immediately embark on negotiations for peace based on the creation of a Palestinian state in both the West Bank and Gaza.
Does Israel's current leadership want peace, though, not only for Israelis, for everybody in the region?
Yeah, if you ask me whether the present Israeli government is ready to say this, or that to work for it, or to declare it, or to make any commitment about it, I don't think so. I have to be very honest with you. That's why I think that this government has to be removed today. I think that this government has failed completely in providing security of the state of Israel, and at the same time is unable and unprepared to make the necessary accommodations in order to create the corridor that can lead us from where we are now, all the sides, into a potential meaningful peace negotiations for the creation of a Palestinian state that will live alongside the state of Israel on the basis of the plans that I've submitted to the Palestinians, or anyway, within the framework of acceptable principles that must be worked out between us and the Palestinians.
Unfortunately, and that is all the time we have.
I just want to remind you, Ms. Froelich, if I can, just one thing.
Briefly,
in 2008, I presented the Palestinians with a peace plan based on the creation of a Palestinian state on the basis of 67 borders, and of having the Arab side of Jerusalem as the capital of the Palestinian state, of having the holy basin of Jerusalem controlled by an international trust of 5 nations, the Saudis, Jordan, the Palestinians, Israel, and America, under the auspices of the United Nations Security Council, and the solution of the refugee problem within the framework of the Arab League Peace Initiative, which was originally accepted in 2002 and was reconfirmed in 2007. This is a peace plan which was presented to the Palestinians. Unfortunately, then they didn't say yes, and they fell away.
Yeah.
This is something.
But the Secretary General of the United Nations has also said that they will not take care of the situation in Gaza after this war. And I'm really sorry, we'll have to leave it there. We're running out of time. Mr. Olmert, great speaking to you. Thank you so much for taking the time to coming on DW. Bye-bye.